Hey there friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today I wanted to rank the handguns in Cyberpunk 2077 after the Phantom Liberty DLC has dropped, and this is going to include pistols and revolvers. If there's any that I don't have, that I don't showcase here, I'll have to review those at a later date, but for now I have a ton of them, so I wanted to go over them and talk about where I would rank them compared to the others. First off, we have the Dying Night. This one is solid. It's one that you can get right from the beginning of the game if you want to, or if you hold that quest, you can actually wait and get it at tier 5 once you have weapons dropping at that level. You can also throw on attachments to this weapon, which I think is very, very nice. It is full auto, which is pretty solid. It just doesn't have a lot of rounds in the magazine, so for me it doesn't do as well as some other options. This is a solid B tier though, especially if you start off with it right away. It can really shine early on in the game, or you can use it later on down the line with some really nice attachments, and it can fit into some decent builds. Then we have the Doom. Now, I'm going to explain why I'm not a fan of some of the revolvers in this game in a little bit, but this one is solid. Fires 3 explosive rounds per shot, so if you're really leaning into an explosive build, this one can be really nice. Again, it does have a mod slot there as well that you can spec into, but for me, the Doom is solid, not spectacular. It's going to fall in the B tier as well, although the damage is very, very nice overall. That said, I do enjoy the Lexington X Mod 2 a bit better. This is going to be another fully automatic pistol. Once again, you can throw some mods on, and it just really shines in my opinion. This one is better than the Dying Night. I would rank this one at A tier. It just performs better for me overall. It's got more range, more damage, so that's why I prefer this one in general. And yeah, I think the Lexington is just an upgraded version of the Dying Night. So if you have this one, you're probably going to want to use it. However, the Dying Night is so easy to obtain, that's why it gets a lot of usage. Then we've got the Malorian. This weapon for me outshines a lot of the revolvers and the heavier handguns. Personally, I just like it quite a bit, especially if you're able to get headshots. If you get headshots in this game with this thing, it just absolutely destroys enemies. And I know this is a little bit biased. The reason I have this at S tier, the reload is just so satisfying. It's Johnny Silverhand's preferred hand. It just is perfect for me. In order to get this, you do have to do some of the Johnny Silverhand side missions, so definitely go ahead and do those. But it's just a very awesome weapon for me personally. Then we've got the Mancinella. This one is going to be interesting because I haven't used this one as much as some of the others on this list, but huge headshot damage multiplier, and also you can apply poison. So with this one, if you're speccing into a build where you kind of want to be like a poison assassin type of player, then I think this one could be very, very interesting just thematically. But this is another one that I think I'm going to say is B tier. I would actually rank the Doom a little bit above it just because I like the damage that it does. However, like I said, the Mancinella is really cool when it comes to specific builds if you want to lean into that toxic aspect. So then we've got the Bald Eagle. This is another one that's a high damage thing. This one is one that you have to pair with the throwing knife Fang in order to get maximum effectiveness out of it. But if you do, it's a really fun gameplay loop. It's hilarious to kind of hit an enemy with the throwing knife and then shoot the same leg will shred it to pieces and return Fang to your hand. So I think this one that, again, if you enjoy that play style, I think it's very good. On its own, it's solid, but I don't like the sights on this one as much, so I would definitely not really run this as much as some of the other handguns in the game. So for me, this is actually going to be C tier. I'm not going to use the Fang Bald Eagle combo enough to make it super effective. Her Majesty. This is my favorite of the silence pistols in the game. This is definitely an A tier in my opinion. If you use optical camo, this thing is insane. Gains perfect accuracy and guaranteed headshot crits along with increased damage. It also comes with a unique silencer. If you're playing a stealth build, this one is a must-have. This is absolutely tremendous. And yeah, overall, I really, really enjoy this one. Running it with an optical camo build is just bananas. So I like when these weapons maybe don't shine on their own, but with certain builds they can really stand out, and that's Her Majesty to a T. This one you have to continue in the Phantom Liberty main campaign in order to unlock it, but once you have it, it is phenomenal. Death and Taxes is one that I think is solid. Again, I like this one. It's pretty nice, but I don't like it as much as some other options. So every powerful hit will cost you a bit of health. When your health gets low, rounds will start to poison enemies. Again, this is actually going to go C tier for me because I just feel like the Manzanella is just a better poison applicator, and so for that reason, I'm not as much of a fan of Death and Taxes. So for me, I wouldn't run this barely at all personally. Archangel. This one is going to be very interesting because, one, it allows you to fire rounds in the rhythm of Samurai's Archangel, which is hilarious, and then successive hits after short intervals knock enemies to the ground. It is very good. I like it a lot. I think you can fire it in full auto mode, which is awesome as well. And overall, this is one of my favorite revolvers in the game. This is another that I'm personally going to rank A tier. This one you have to continue again the Johnny Silverhand side quest type stuff in order to obtain this eventually, but I really enjoy it overall, and I think it's one that everybody should try to go snag. If you like this one more than the Malorian, I would not blame you, to be honest. Now we're going to the Roscoe. This is going to be an interesting one. If you are using a certain playstyle, this one can be good. Shooting an enemy first in the leg and then in the head will neutralize them on the spot. Grants 10 style points. Headshots against enemies lying on the ground always do crit damage. So if you want to play that way, if you want to use it as like kind of your gangster who shoots somebody in the leg and then stands over them and it's kind of a power play, I can see that. But for me, it's not really one that's going to see a lot of use compared to some of the other options. So I just don't prefer it. Now, I've tested all of these at their own levels, so keep that in mind as well. Some of these that you see are tier 4s. I just haven't upgraded them because I don't enjoy using them as much, or I just didn't have the materials to upgrade them. So then we have the Ogu. This one is going to be the best of the smart pistols in my opinion because you can fire explosive rounds, which is nice. Dismemberment, which is good. Crit chance, bleeding, all that kind of good stuff. You have to have Smart Link enabled to use this, so keep that in mind. But if you're running a Smart Link build, this is a highly recommend A tier weapon that I would definitely go chase if you don't have it already because it can be a lot of fun. Now we're going to move on to the Cheetah. This one is interesting. You have a couple open slots you can throw on there. You can do a lot of damage up close. The nearer the target, the greater crit and bleeding chance. Hits the enemy's torso, also deal more damage. So this one is actually pretty solid overall, but the damage is fairly low, so you're going to have to hit a lot of your shots in order to maximize the effectiveness of the Cheetah. Again, obviously with the name, you're going to assume that it shoots really fast, so definitely check this one out, try it out, see if you like it. But for me, it's not as good as some of the other options on this list. I'm going to put it right there in the C tier as well. Old Reliable. This one is solid. I think this was one that anybody can use. It's my favorite revolver as far as the look goes. But again, this is a switcherless weapon, increases headshot damage and effective range. The further the target, the greater the headshot crit chance. Why I like this weapon is definitely the range on it. You can play a little bit at distance. When I'm running like a shotgun melee build and I need something that has a bit more range, but I want to stick with a hand cannon, this is one that does very, very well. I don't like it as much as the Malorian, but I would say this is a solid A tier weapon, and I really enjoy using it quite a bit. And then finally, the Tygon. This one is a fully explosive rounds type of weapon, and it was banned due to humanitarian concerns, which is always a good sign. So grants a chance to inflict a unique burn on the enemy. Shooting enemy inflicted by this burn will always deal crit damage. The more enemies simultaneously affected by this burn, the more crit damage you deal, but at the cost of accuracy. So this is one that I think, if you are running a burn build, can be phenomenal. I really like this one a lot. And overall, I would say this is another solid A tier weapon. Chase this one down. Run those burn builds because they're fantastic. I really do enjoy running them myself. And yeah, overall, those are all the pistols and revolvers that I've unlocked so far. So I wanted to give my ranking of them. The Malorian is my favorite, obviously biased because of how it plays, the reload and all that kind of stuff. It just feels really, really good. But there's a lot of great options. And if you are leaning into a certain type of build, there's a lot of weapons here that can really shine depending on how you spec them out. So keep that in mind. Definitely go check them out. Try to snag these for yourself. My name is JoPa. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Cyberpunk content from me going forward. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.